Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a good video for you today. I've been getting a lot of questions on this, and it's how to stay mentally strong, not be broken, and survive a prison term. Whether it's a short term, like 6 months, or even like county jail time, or a long stretch like I did. And we're going to attack that question right now because it's a good question, and how I did it, if I did it right, and maybe I even didn't do it right. But before I get started, please check me out on YouTube member programs. Check me on Patreon. Check out merch out, all that kind of stuff. Please check the book out, Gangster Redemption. That's going good. Check cigars out. Check it all out. Check our websites. All in the links below, please. And also, please subscribe. I know I very rarely ask that, but please subscribe. I would like to see more people here getting on the bandwagon of helping people. Now, this video, I think, is going to be very important. This video is about how to stay mentally strong in prison. And is it even possible? Or how do you survive either a short term or a long time bid in the head? Survival in the fist, survival in the well-being is a whole different animal as far as fighting and stuff of that nature. But you can understand something. The mental part is probably what's going to save you more than anything. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. It wasn't strength. It wasn't muscles. It wasn't how to fight that survived prison. It was up here. And, and do you go crazy? And how do you stay mentally strong when you have family members having tough times out there? When you're having a tough time in there, you might be sick in there. And I mean physically sick. You might have an illness of some sort and you're not going to get medical care. And how do you stay strong like that? When you keep having to confront the total abuses, the total lack of caring. I got this question and I thought really long and hard about it, because when I think about something like this, I'm the kind of person that looks at it in two ways. One, how did I do it? How would I do it today, even compared to how I did it back when I was younger and I actually did it? And did I do a good job, or did I really go crazy? I'll tell you the truth. When I was in the hole for really long stretches at a time, I started going crazy. That was the hardest time for me to stay mentally strong. I'm not ashamed to say it. I thought of suicide, pretty close to attempting suicide in prison. When you're in the hole and you're isolated and it's tough, man. The biggest part of prison and being in prison was not the not knowing part. When you go to the hole, which is the SHU, Special Housing Unit Prison, knowing when you're going to get out of the hole, or at least when they say you're going to get out of the hole, is a big difference than saying you're under investigation. Because under investigation, all of a sudden you don't know what's going on. For the first 2-3 weeks in the hole, you're seeing your counselor, you're seeing because they come by every Friday, and the counselor will come by and see people. They make what they call SHU rounds, and you'll talk to them. So what did I do? What's this about? And they never could say anything. Remember that. Your unit team doesn't say shit. Do they know? They're supposed to know, but do they ever say anything? Very rarely. I've never seen that. But let me try to make you mentally strong to go to prison. We're going to take a couple of scenarios. If you are a person who just was sentenced and you got lucky and they said, okay, you can go get your home affairs in order and you can report to the prison at X amount of time. And that does happen. Now, those guys are usually going to a camp. That's number one. Maybe a low, but usually a camp. Now, when they go into a camp, they usually don't have as much time as most people. So even if you had 6 months or a year to do in prison, deadly. I find some of those guys who go to those prisons, they sweat and they get worried the most than guys who are going to a maximum security prison or a high security prison or a medium prison. Those two kind of differences in getting your head set. But let's continue. If you're going to a check-in, you're going to check into the prison. First thing you need to do is make sure you get your affairs in order as much as possible. And I say that, and I don't mean like your will or anything of that nature. I mean, how are you going to deal with your wife or your friends or your family from prison? You know you can only have X amount of time on phone. So you have to start talking to people and letting them know who you're going to call, when you're going to call. How are you going to stay communicated, whether it's with letters or email now, stuff of that nature. Now, what that's going to do to you is make you understand what's going on. So that's a very important thing in prison, that the stuff on the street is secure, especially if you have young children. They're the ones that are going to feel it the most, believe it or not. Not you, not your wife, the kids. I had very young people, young children. My son ended up knowing where I was, grew up in that kind of environment. My daughter didn't for a long time. So it was my job to stay mentally strong for them. And how I did that was by writing my children every almost twice a week, 3 times a week sometimes. I would write them letters, knowing I'm not going to get a letter back. But a lot of people say, "Well, that's great because you really helped your kids out." Well, it also helped me out. You know, Everything you do in prison, obviously, you do it for your family, your loved ones, but that helps you. It keeps you focused. It keeps you realizing there are people on the outside that love you. You know, Hope goes a long way. When you have hope that things are going to be good, when you have feeling that everybody's not out to get you, nobody abandoned you. It's very hard, and you will get people who abandon you. There's an old saying: you find out who loves you, or you find out what's going on in prison when you have go to prison, because you're going to find out who your true friends are. That's a fact. But staying mentally focused when you go into that prison, you know that your home life is secure. That's very important. As much as you can do that, that's very important. It gives you one less thing to worry about. Once you're on the yard, you check in, you go through R&D, you get assigned a unit in whatever prison you're in. Again, if it's a low, it's going to be all of these are dormitory style livings. Now you're going to check in R&D. They're going to tell you where to go. They're going to give you a bedroll and stuff like that. Now, to be mentally strong and to stay strong without being either broken. I watched a couple of movies of guys who go to prison and then they keep getting in trouble, and then all of a sudden they got a lot more time. Well, there are things you can do in prison that can get you a lot of time. Obviously, if you kill someone in prison, you're going to be charged with a murder. And yes, the defense of, "Oh, I'm in prison, he was going to attack me," doesn't hold much water, because they tell you should have went to the authorities. You should have went to the guard. You should have went to the people. Obviously, nobody wants to do that, because that's when you get the label snitch. That label of snitch and they call it on your jacket. That's going to follow you around, and that's going to make your life terrible in prison. You never know who you can trust. You never know who's going to fuck you up for whatever reason, because somebody else told on them. So those are tough things. And to stay mentally strong, you have to make sure you don't do that. Listen, I'm not telling people what to do out there. Believe me, I don't believe in them, and I hope you don't do it. I hope you take your word seriously and don't turn rat, as I call it, because you got to live with yourself more than anybody. When I didn't rat in prison and went to prison for a long time, it was probably one of the better things I've ever did, because it showed myself during adversity, during the worst times of my life, I can stick to my word. I am not going to break that bond. That's just me. And I think it could be you too. So to stay mentally strong, you have to get all your ducks in order at home, especially I'm talking about guys going to low security prisons. And once you get there, you're going to have to focus on yourself. First thing I often tell people is go to the yard, start walking the track, start thinking a lot about what you want to do with your health, because there's a lot of time in prison. And if you waste it just doing nothing, I mean, you're going to have a hard time, because that's just wasted air, I call it. I did a lot in prison, and I think I did a lot just to keep my sanity. I studied the law. I worked out. I connected with other people, played softball. I did enough things in prison to understand that you have to stay active mentally. I mean, as much as you can take your mind off of the place you're in, and I know it's hard because you're always on guard. I was. But when you get in there, you have to find your comfort level. Now, this is all going to help your mental stability, believe it, because I watched many people go crazy in prison, and they lost it mentally. Now you felt bad for them. I don't think the prison gave a shit about them, but you felt bad. People who knew him felt bad, and they always said, "Man, that guy wasn't like that. The prison made him like that." As sad as that is, it did. That's why I talk about rehabilitation and versus incarceration. You can have just incarceration. It's proven it over and over and over again that it's not working. And 95% of the people are getting out. Do you want them to be wackos, or do you want them to have went in there and be mentally strong and survive something like this? Some people are going to say, but who gives a shit? If they're too weak, they can't make it in there. I don't give a shit. I get it. I actually get it. If you're in the crime game, I hate to say it like that, but if you're in the crime game, or if you're in doing criminal activity, I want you to take a break 1 second and listen to me. Because if you're not preparing to go to prison, then you're an idiot. You hear what I said? I don't care if you're selling weed, you're selling a little pills, or whatever the hell you're selling, or boosting some stuff, or whatever it is. The minute you don't prepare and something happens, you're going to go to prison, whether it's a short term or a long term, and you're not prepared. You know, I often do this, and I do it all the time now. I always tell my kids, I love you when I hang up with them, see them, leave them. I say, I love you, and I'll hug you, because you never know when you're going to see them again. And that's just life behind bars. That's life even on the street, but definitely in a prison system. I mean, you have a higher rate of getting murdered there than anywhere in the world. So, and I'm not talking an act of war or something of that nature. I'm talking about how the governments treat people. So now I'm keeping my mental health by doing push-ups, diamond push-ups, wide push-ups. Oh, you should do pull-ups that way too, this way, regular way. Then you go back and you pull ups that way. You're all working different parts of your body. Well, when you work out your body, you know what gets tired as well? Your brain. I often suggest to people, get away from talking about prisons or your case for a little bit. You'll come back with new ideas, new ways to get back at the government. And I say get back at the government. Win your appeal. Now, most people, they think it's sometimes a country club, or they think you're going to go in there and they're going to see some homeboys and home friends and hang out for a while and then get up and leave. You know, to this day, I have never seen anybody come out and say, you know, I like the prison. I should have stayed there. You don't say that. You just don't do that, because there's nothing right about another grown man telling another man to wash the floor with your toothbrush, or do some crazy shit. And they can do that. And if you disobey them, they're going to put you in a hole. That is a fact. So now, talking mental health, let's say you just get arrested for whatever reason. You're arrested for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, and you end up going to county jail. You'll probably bail out. And once you bail out, don't think it's freedom again. First of all, when you bail out, you're going to be probably on a house arrest and monitors and everything else. But that's the time to really, really set things up, because you are not getting let out just to go do things. That doesn't happen in prison. Not in any federal prison I was in. I don't care how much money you have either. Oh, I'll buy my way out. No, you won't. No, you won't. Doesn't happen like that. It's a lot harder than you think. So when you get arrested, you should be, or if you're doing a crime, I hate to say it, you should plan on being arrested one way or the other. I don't mean doing the little drugs or some shit. I'm talking about selling drugs. I'm talking about doing things that you know are inherently illegal. I did it when I was younger. So don't say, oh, I'll never do something like that. Yes, you will. Happens all the time. Usually we try to give youngsters a break. Once you turn 18, there's no breaks. It's a dog-eat-world dog out there. And remember that. Because if you don't, you're going to be one of those people who have a nervous breakdown. Don't attack and don't be on the phones all the time. What people don't understand when you go to prison is you're actually trying to train the people outside how to stay calm, how to not lose sleep over their loved one being in prison, what little things they can do to help you. I made a point never to ever come out negative into a visiting room. I could have been in a closet. I'd light up in the hole in the visiting room. It's almost like a closet. And I would see them coming in and they have glasses on, their regular look. And I'm like, wow, these guys did that for me, because they know it hurts me that I can't have glasses to actually communicate and see things the right way. Obviously, for the law, they're going to give me one. And if they don't, I'm going to be filing charges on that. That's for sure. So you have to be mentally tough, ready to go to jail. I'm not saying you're going to go to jail, and I hope you never do. But I think if you look at the people and you look at anybody who's kept their mental stability, you're going to see they always had one or two things. Mine, I had go-to was reading. Obviously, working out, reading would take the energy away. Done that, you're saying, okay, what do I do for the next 20 hours? You start going crazy. Now, when I say you're going crazy, I don't mean just banging your head against the wall. I mean, doing crazy shit, like taking feces out of their ass and putting a picture of a, devil or something on the wall with shit. If that's not fucking some crazy shit, I don't know what is. I mean, it just boggles my mind. So your mental health has everything to do in how you prepare, how you prepared your family, how you prepared your kids, how you communicate with your kids and your wife means so much. Please don't be that guy that's fucking yelling on the phone, ripping the headphones off. You're like, go fuck you. That lady can be sitting on the other end of that phone crying, and you don't give a shit. And I don't like that. I really don't. It drives me crazy. But, I'm not the keeper of all people. That I am not. So I want you to just get your mental health down. You will lose it because I lost it. Don't ever forget that. I lost it. So you can lose it. And sadly, a lot of people do. So keeping your mental capacity is really straightening things up on the outside before you come. When you get there, you have to act normal. You have to act like a guy who's been there. Even though you haven't, you have to do that. Remember that. You prepare. The more you prepare, the better you're going to be. Because that's the only way you're not going to be in a big way of shock. Be logical. Don't do crime. If you're even on the outskirts of it, be ready. Because you might be associated with the wrong people and you're going to jail. And calling your mother also don't work. That's just what it is. But you have to make sure, please make sure you take care of the people on the outside, get them all straight, get your head straight, and you can do your time. Once you're in, exercise a lot, read a lot, get a job in that prison that is probably keep you the most busy, whether it's a kitchen worker, cook, commissary. I mean, those are hard to get. But whatever it is, get the job that's going to make you happy. Gives you purpose for the time you're in prison. You can only walk the yard so many times. But when you don't have a job, I made my own jobs. I went to the law library, and got so into the books. They knew I knew what I was doing. Before you know it, I'm putting books away. And that's all I did. So it was like having an office in prison. And that's what you need. You guys need to get a focus, a job, workout, reading, heavy reading. I was a big, heavy reader in prison. I mean, I probably read over 1,000 books because I get away with light. I get away. It's my getaway. And you're going to have to find your getaway. Never forget that. Anyway, guys, just a few reporting notes. Had some great podcasts come up. Check them out. You'll love that. The cigar is out. If you ordered one, being shipped this week, literally right here. They're all here. I got boxes all over this place. So we are getting rid of them and putting them out right away. Other than that, everybody, stay mentally strong on the streets too, because it's just as easy to get a little whack out here too. With that said, everybody, please stay safe. Make good choices. I'll see you Thursday.